Planet Coaster 2 Update 3 that dropped a few weeks ago promises a deeper, tougher management experience for players who love crunching the numbers as much as they love the coasters. Personally, my gameplay does tend to lean more towards the creative elements of Planet Coaster 2, but I can appreciate a good challenge run too. With Update 3 bringing a bunch of fixes and tweaks to the management and economy side of things, I'm curious if this actually delivers a tougher challenge, or is the game still more of a theme park design simulator than a fast-paced tycoon title? Let's find out. I'm starting a brand new challenge park, this time on hard mode. Let's see just how tough things can get. This means we start with only 50,000 in cash, and to make things even trickier, Update 3 has reduced early guest numbers. They're still eager though, aren't they? Steady on Tiger, we haven't built anything yet. Success here hinges on high capacity, high appeal rides that will keep queues moving and cash flowing. To that end, I'm running this challenge with no flat rides. Flat rides simply can't achieve the efficiencies that custom-built coasters can. The lower prestige and longer ride times, it's a recipe for grumpy guests stuck in overcrowded queues. Another problem with flat rides, unfortunately the bug where guests get trapped on the ride platform and the exit gate, well that's still alive and well. The only way to fix this is to constantly close and reopen the rides, which is a potential revenue loss, so I'm not risking it if I can help it. To be honest, I don't even know if we can be profitable early game without flat rides, but I'm going to give it a solid shot. Instead, I've reworked my starter coaster blueprints, which I'll be placing in the park. I know they look pretty janky, but I have carefully designed these to prioritise high prestige, shorten ride durations, and maximise throughput. In the revamp, I've also added separate load and unload stations, and where feasible, I've added block sections to the tracks to increase train capacity. Indeed, I finally learned how block sections work. Only took me 8 years playing Planet Coaster to figure that one out. Anyway, there's a variety of coasters in this set, ensuring there's something for everyone, and they collectively cover all guest tastes and tolerances, so the thrill seekers should be as happy as the kids and the cautious riders if I get the balance right. Another tool in my strategy this time around, no water park stuff. While pools and flumes would generate a solid revenue starting out, some core mechanics of the water park stuff is still too broken in my opinion. There's still a glitch where some guests permanently separate from their group, triggering them and the rest of their group to wander the park aimlessly, unable to interact with anything, and their stats draining to zero. Worst of all, they're not spending any money in this state. I've found hundreds of guests stuck like this, or floating in the air, or trapped swimming through concrete on the pool edge. Update 3 hasn't addressed any of these issues, so no flat rides if I can help it, and definitely no water park stuff, just efficient, high-performing coasters. Let's see if this challenge is even possible. Here we go then, day 1. Before placing rides, we have to set up all the surfaces. My approach for challenge builds follows a very structured format, a big central pathway with utilities in the middle. I've also found setting up staff zones is crucial for keeping things running in a nice, efficient order. This build keeping zones compact so we'll accommodate 4 or 5 rides in each. Next task, putting in all the facilities. This covers everything we'll need for this build, so electricity, staff facilities, guest facilities, everything, it's all going in here. I put all of this within the central space so everything is within easy reach. I want easy navigation for both employees and the guests. The electricity hubs do create a big negative scenery impact, but I found a workaround to mitigate this, which still works after Update 3. The generators here are creating a big negative impact, and my method for dealing with this, find a small cheap scenery piece which can mitigate the damage. Mythology fence post works well for this. Scenery score of each piece stacks, so placing a bunch of these tightly together completely eradicates the negative influence. Next task is hiring staff. Any free roaming staff, it's worth diving into their schedule and assigning them to a work zone so they don't wander off between tasks. This is boring micromanagement, particularly when you're hiring a bunch together, but worth it for the efficiency. All that set up, can finally place my first coaster. Gone with the classic wooden coaster because it has a good load capacity and is suitable for most guests. It's also my cheapest starter coaster blueprint, meaning I can place another ride almost right away to help boost revenue. Fingers crossed. Next in, it's a floorless coaster. This is also on the cheaper side and it has a fantastic load capacity. Only downside, it's only suitable for adults and teens. So I am taking a risk here that the high prestige of this coaster will help boost initial popularity, because with this in, we're out of cash and we are reliant on just these 2 coasters now to maintain a positive cash flow. Fun and games with this one, getting the pathing of large blueprints to line up with the existing paths is a nightmare. Also made a critical error here. Hence post on the station were out of line, so I double clicked to move it and instead deselected the entire station and closed the ride. Whoops. Had me confused for a second why it was closed when I'd only just opened it. And I also had to hunt down the ride attendants who had abandoned their post. Found them skulking over by the main entrance. Lesson learned, be careful what you click near ride stations. So yeah, slightly delayed opening for this coaster, but at least popularity didn't seem to be too badly affected by the tolerance levels of this one. Also, noticed a bunch of guests panicking up here and then clocked that the pathing at the bottom of this bit hadn't connected properly. I played the game with all notifications turned off because they drive me crazy, so stuff like this does happen occasionally, and yeah, good job I noticed this one. You're fine, it was only a second you were stuck. Anyway, that's all that happened on day one because it took ages to build up any more money. I think that's the key to them making the game harder, is it just takes longer to do stuff. So it was almost 24 hours before we had enough cash to get our next ride in, which I've decided was going to be a mine coaster. High prestige, good load capacity, and generally suitable for everyone. However, did notice the odd complaint that it was scaring some of the guests, so time for a very gentle ride at the Junior Coaster. This is more expensive and took nearly all day to build up the cash for it. Also, a strange glitch here with, this is the test model, but the guests are standing up bizarrely. And yeah, well, I won't spoil it, but this does come back to haunt me later in the video. That brings us to day 3, and we're out of room to put more coasters in Zone 1, so time to set up Zone 2. Identical layout to Zone 1, and handy enough, I deliberately built all the facilities in Zone 1 in one scenery group, so that means I could just copy and place it, so perfect replica, really quick to implement. Did have to hire a bunch more staff though, and go through the arduous process of putting them all in Zone 2. Then it's back to coaster time, gone with a water coaster this time, another family option. I feel like the family options are better early game. They're slightly more popular, and right now I just need more bums on seats, to be honest. It took nearly a full day again with the game on fast forward to be able to afford my next coaster. Another strategic choice here, Kinetic sit-down coaster. This is relatively family friendly. It's got a great capacity. I managed to get 3 trains on the tracks as well using the block sections. Nice little earner. That had us out of cash again on day 3, so onward day 4. By this point, progress it's going, but it's very slow. Notice that the queue for the Junior Coaster was absurdly long, and yeah, it stopped working for some reason. Had me very confused. It was still open, had an attendant, all that was fine. Then I spotted this person at the back. Oh dear, something very wrong here, isn't there? As with most stuff in this game, turn it off and on again. Yeah, that seemed to fix it, whatever was wrong there. Then I had enough cash to put in. I'm calling this the gentlest coaster I've ever built. For some reason, guests seem to love this coaster. It's a wooden friction. Doesn't even have max prestige, so it's not going to become a classic coaster or anything like that. Maybe it's because you can get very tiny children on this ride and they're not going to be scared. Their enthusiasm getting off, it makes me laugh. Woohoo, yeah, go wood coaster, yeah. Unfortunately, there is a problem with this ride. Something's going on with the priority queue for this one. I have priority queues on all of the rides because we really need the cash from that. But this one doesn't work, the queue never goes down. I changed the priority level, turned the rides off and on again. I even removed the path and put it back in again. Nothing made a difference, so can't have priority queue on this ride. Do have a solution then. Turn off the priority queue, but place an additional coaster, so have 2 of these rides in the one park. I guess that is a bit of a cheat, but the game doesn't differentiate. When you place a ride that's already in your park, the game doesn't know that it's a copy of the ride that you've already got. So it still counts it as another unique attraction. Now, I know this one was super popular as well, so yeah, it's starting to bring the guests in nicely here. We're averaging just over 1,000 guests in the park at any given time, so I'm thinking that that's going to start bringing the profit in a bit quicker. We won't take as long to get to where we need to be. But yet again, placing another coaster has drained my finances nearly to 0, so going to be another long wait, taking us into day 5. New coaster time again, this being a spinning one. I do look at this and think, surely this can't be fun. Do people really ride these and enjoy it? All that spinning while on a track? Seems to be relatively popular though, so each to their own, I guess. Next, I finally had enough cash to afford a family launch coaster. I do like this one. If I was to ride any of these rides that are in this park, I'd probably choose this one. It looks really comfortable, looked quite fun as well. This would be my choice, and the guests seem to think so too. It is quite popular. Locked a kid wearing Crocs in the queue though. I mean, honestly, who sends their kid to an amusement park in Crocs? Maybe they're hoping they do fall off on a ride. Anyway, this brings us to day 6 in the weirdest theme park to ever exist, as in the family launch coaster pushed us to the edge of Zone 2, so it's on to Zone 3, and exactly the same process as making Zone 2, so we'll skip ahead and look at the new rides I'm putting in. This is the Energy Coaster. It's one of the most expensive coasters in my blueprint pack, and okay, in my defense, I made this when I didn't really know what I was doing, but yeah, it's absolutely absurd. I'm sorry, but it's an absolute mess to place. It's got one stupidly high loop at the back, and what can I say? I'm sorry for hurting your eyes with this. In my defense, it works, it has a high prestige, and people are willing to get on it in the first place. By this point, I've got a relatively healthy cash flow going on, and I noticed the queue for the family launch coaster was getting a bit long, so same strategy as with the wooden friction coaster, just placed another one to help reduce that queue down. That left me with just enough cash to place my final blueprinted ride in the park, the inverting suspended coaster. Saving the best till last, this one gave me the most grief out of all of them to align with the existing path. Probably because some of the track goes underground level. Won't be doing that again. Also managed to capture some trees in the background in the blueprint, so I've got rogue trees just chilling in mid-air there. As with everything here, it is a little janky for sure, but it's a lovely coaster and I'll definitely be doing something with this one again. With the inverted suspending now in, it's worth taking stock of where the park's up to, how are we performing, has this challenge worked? With the park rating, everything's 5-star aside from the number of unique attractions. I'd need to place double the number of coasters I've got here now for this to be nearer to 5-star. It took long enough to make the ones that are already here, so maybe that's a project for a later date. Guest experience is generally positive. Even the souvenir status green, which was impossible before Update 3. I figured out that complaints about hunger and similar needs stem from guest behaviour, not facility availability. I've even tracked guests for a whole day and I found that 90% prioritise rides over addressing low needs, even when passing relevant facilities, unless the stat is red. A setup like this with shorter queue times helps by giving guests more chances to visit facilities. The alternative would be using only low prestige rides to push up facilities higher in their action queue, which kind of defeats the purpose of the game. So, to answer the burning question and whole point of this video, has Update 3 added greater challenge for management and finance? In my opinion, not really. While fewer guests means lower profit at the start, this only matters in a time scenario. In challenge mode, you can simply wait it out. It's not harder, it's just slower. Previously, I could build a park like this in 3 days max. Now it takes 6, but the mechanics remain unchanged. Upcoming features like the return of security, that is a step in the right direction, but things like restaurants, while that's great for the builders, and I myself, I am a builder, I do play this game for the design front as well. I think the builders are all on board, they're not complaining about the game currently, it's only people wanting the management and the economy, and these sort of updates, that's not going to impact management much at all. So yeah, without deeper mechanics, Update 3 doesn't meaningfully increase the game challenge at all. As for the coaster thing, happy to report then all coaster run is possible. Early on I was concerned that the upkeep costs might outweigh revenue, forcing me to add some flat rides, and I really didn't want to do that, but it all worked out as intended. While progress was slow, coaster revenue was just enough to stay afloat. So really glad I tried this run. It was challenging to build all those blooming coasters for it, took forever, but worth it in the end. Do hope you've enjoyed this, and of course let me know what you think in the comments. As always, thanks so much for watching, I'll catch you next video.